New Bring It Ronin, Tales of the Samurai, The Shadow. Oh, Shadow. Shadow, Shadow, Shadow. We all know he's the biggest threat in Doctor Who history. But we gotta go back to Byrne's creation once again. Byrne started as a four-man team, me, Shadow, Candy, and Desir, blah, 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 blah. Shadow and Candy were my co-leaders, but I kind of gravitated more to Shadow as my protege, right-hand man, best friend. Candy was more my brother. You know, because he is my brother. He was a prodigy of Misfit. Candy was like one of my Byrne kids, but he was my Misfit brother. He was more my brother. When it came to Candy and Moon Pie, that was my brother, that was my sister. Because they're misfits. The rest of Byrne are my Byrne kids. Even though Candy's kind of one of my Byrne kids, but, you know. Shadow here. We're talking about Shadow here. Shadow was a man, you know, me and him were best friends. He's my protege, he's my co-leader. He's a loyal friend. Yeah, we had a good friendship here. Played Uncharted, played Last of Us. He was a good co-leader. Loyal, did what was asked. When we moved on to do the Byrne and the Empire of Clans, Shadow is this entity as well, known as the Shadow. He's got this alter ego as the Shadow. He has powers where he could manifest himself and use nightmares against people. He's called the Shadow. He's an entity. An entity which I created because I helped create that entity. Because, he's the heir to my legacy like Misfit was to me. Knowledge is power. Shadow's going to learn everything from me. I was going to set Shadow up as my successor. That's what everything was leading to. And it went good until they started rebelling. But the thing is, with Shadow rebelling, it's not Shadow rebelling because he's against what I'm doing. It's Shadow's rebelling because I'm not giving him everything just yet. He's impatient. He wants to be the leader now. He wants to learn everything now. He wants control now because I was trained to be the heir of Misfit and trained a certain way, and I became like my mentor, and I saw the signs. Everything that I am, the villain that I am, the history, Shades of Rock, and the villain. I'm a monster. Like, I'm a villain. There's a dark side of me. This is the image I was created in by my mentor. And with Shadow learning a lot of that knowledge, he's going to become that too. Because if I became it and turned out just like my mentor, he'd turn out just like me. And he was showing those signs. He liked power. He liked the control. He was starting to turn part of the clan against me. Shadow was impatient. I saw the signs with Shadow. He was turning out just like me. Because he's created in that image, the Shadow entity was created in my image. Everything that he became was created in my image. So what happened? Shadow and them rebelled. I flipped it on Shadow. Removed him as co-leader. See where everybody's loyalty landed. All the people that rebelled, made them pay the price. Made Shadow pay the price with the demotion, while the others really paid the price. And yeah, and then they eventually rebelled again. There was a huge mass rebellion, and Shadow went with everybody and created GOF, Game of Fire, Game of Friends, whatever you want to call it, and then tried to duplicate what I did and fell flat on his ass a few months later. You know why? Because he didn't learn everything. I didn't teach him everything. I'm not an idiot. He failed because he's poorly trained. Why would I teach him everything if I knew he was rebelling? I don't make mistakes. I'm not making that mistake my mentor made. I didn't make that mistake with him. I didn't make it with Shady McGrady. I ain't making it with Flash Lighting. What makes you think I'd be that stupid early on? So Shadow's fate is he flopped, fell flat on his ass, struggled, never really reached the success that he dreamed. Stuck on Last of Us for years, trying to be as famous as I was on Last of Us. Never could really amount to it. And went nowhere. Mediocrity. Like a lot of people I used to know and ex-proteges. That was Shadows' story. Up until about a couple months ago, where the rightful heirs were coming back for their legacy. Mike tried to get at me, Royal tried to get at me, and Candy tried to get at me, and then there was Shadow. And it's like, yeah, Shadow trapped me into the... I entered the Shadow realm to take the fight the Shadow. Shadow turned it on me. He knew I was there. And then I went into this long battle with Shadow. And then I defeated him. And then that was it. Shadow died. And then Shadow came back. Tales of the Shadow. And he hit me hard. The entity that I created in my image became this monstrosity. Out of everyone I've ever fought and rivaled against, Miami Wonka, Ailman, Dill Dog, Sourface, Johnny AK, all the Battlefront enemies and rivals, all Last of Us enemies and rivals, all the people that used to be friends turned enemies, Shadow hit me the hardest. Played psychological mind games and kept coming. Almost 35 times he kept coming. And I couldn't defeat this fucker. I just can't defeat him. Is this destiny? Is this fate? Is this history repeating itself? Is he the true rightful heir? He's coming for my legacy and I can't stop him. And he's entitled to it because he was the original protege. But I did what I had to. I had one of his own men turn on him, his son to be exact, and I defeated Shadow, and I took him in the Shadow realm and I chucked them into a black hole. Nothing can survive a black hole. He's dead and gone, and he's never coming back. But man, did he hit me hard. Part of me regrets creating the shadow entity, because it shook me to the fucking core, and it was rough. Real rough, man. Like, shit had me depressed, crying. Like, no enemy, no rival ever has hit me that hard, but he did. But that's Shadow's fate. Revenge, desperation for a legacy that you did not deserve. And his fate was getting chucked into that black hole, never to be seen again. And he is never, ever coming back. And that puts a smile on my face. The legacy of the shadow is failure. You cannot kill Shadow, what created you, unless you have all the knowledge passed down from your mentor's entire playbook and mind. And that's something you never got and never will have. The end of the shadow is the black hole. Nothing more, nothing less. There is peace in the world, and that's how it is. The end.